Welcome to English Through News. Today we're learning English by exploring one of the biggest stories in 2024: global inflation and rising prices. Inflation is when the cost of goods and services increases over time, meaning your money buys less than before. Let's dive into this important economic story and master key English vocabulary together. In 2024, countries around the world faced significant inflation challenges. Many nations experienced double-digit inflation rates, meaning prices rose 10% or more in a single year. Central banks, institutions that control a country's money supply, worked hard to reduce inflation by raising interest rates. The word inflation comes from the Latin word inflare, meaning to blow up. Just as a balloon expands when you blow air into it, inflation means the economy expands but money loses value. Example, in 2023, a coffee cost $3. In 2024, the same coffee cost $3.50 due to inflation. Food prices were hit particularly hard in 2024. Groceries, bread, meat, and vegetables became significantly more expensive in developing nations. This created real hardship for families struggling to afford basic meals, especially in countries like Pakistan, Egypt, and parts of Africa. Let's learn the phrase hit particularly hard. This means affected severely or impacted negatively. Hit is used metaphorically, like a physical impact, but for situations. Examples: the pandemic hit small businesses hard. Rising inflation hit low-income families particularly hard. You can also say hit especially hard, hit worst, or disproportionately affected. Central banks like the Federal Reserve in America and the European Central Bank raised interest rates to combat inflation. Interest rates are the cost of borrowing money. When rates are higher, people borrow less, spend less, and inflation decreases. However, this also slows economic growth and can increase unemployment. The term central bank refers to a nation's main financial institution that manages the money supply and sets interest rates. Interest rate is the percentage of money charged or paid for borrowing. Example: if the interest rate is 5%, you pay $5 per year for every $100 borrowed. Related terms: lending rate, borrowing cost, monetary policy. In 2024, energy prices played a major role in inflation. Oil and natural gas prices remained volatile, affecting transportation and heating costs worldwide. This energy crisis had ripple effects throughout the economy. Higher fuel costs meant higher delivery costs, which meant higher prices for everything delivered by truck, plane, or ship. The word volatile means unstable or likely to change suddenly and unpredictably. It often describes prices, emotions, or situations. Examples: cryptocurrency prices are very volatile. The situation became volatile when tensions increased. Volatile weather patterns affected the harvest. You can also use unstable, turbulent, or erratic as synonyms. Supply chain disruptions also contributed to 2024 inflation. Factories couldn't produce enough goods, and shipping networks faced delays. When supply is low but demand is high, prices go up. This economic principle is called supply and demand, a fundamental concept in economics. Let's explore supply chain, the entire system for getting products from factories to consumers. Supply equals available quantity of goods. Chain's connected series of steps. Example: the supply chain for electronics includes manufacturers in Asia, shipping companies, distributors, and retail stores. Disruption means interruption or breaking of normal function. Wage growth became a critical issue in 2024. Workers demanded higher salaries to keep up with inflation. but businesses couldn't always afford to pay more. This created tension between employers and employees, sometimes leading to strikes and labor disputes in various industries, including transportation, healthcare, and manufacturing. The phrase "keep up with" means stay at the same level as or progress at the same rate as. Examples: salaries haven't kept up with inflation. I can't keep up with the fast pace of the job. Technology is advancing so quickly, it's hard to keep up. Similar expressions stay on pace with, match, or remain current with. Developing countries suffered more from 2024 inflation than wealthy nations. Countries with weaker currencies faced especially severe price increases. The International Monetary Fund (IMF) reported that inflation in developing economies could reach 7 to 8%, compared to 2 to 3% in developed countries. This inequality widened the gap between rich and poor nations. The noun inequality refers to unfair difference or lack of equality. Examples: economic inequality is growing, gender inequality remains a global challenge, income inequality affects social stability. Related words: disparity, difference, gap, imbalance, unfairness. You can also use the adjective unequal or inequitable. By late 2024, some relief emerged. Inflation began declining in many developed countries as interest rate increases took effect. The U.S. inflation rate dropped from 9.1% in 2022 to around 2.5 to 3% by late 2024. Europe showed similar improvements. However, inflation remained elevated in many developing nations. When something emerges, it appears or becomes visible after being hidden or not obvious. Examples: new problems emerged during the crisis. Scientists discovered bacteria that emerged from thawing permafrost. Relief emerged as inflation began declining. Synonyms appear, arise, come about, surface. The noun form is emergence. Experts predict that inflation will continue declining in 2025 in most developed economies. However, structural challenges remain. Structural means related to the fundamental framework or underlying system. Structural inflation challenges include aging populations, climate change impacts on agriculture, and geopolitical tensions affecting energy and food supplies. The adjective structural describes something fundamental to a system's core. Examples: structural reforms are needed to fix the economy. There are structural problems with the education system. Structural unemployment is caused by economy-wide changes, not just business cycles. Related noun: structure, adverb form structurally. The 2024 inflation story teaches us important economics vocabulary and reveals how global issues affect ordinary people's lives. Key phrases you've learned: hit particularly hard, keep up with, volatile, emerge, and structural. These terms appear frequently in financial news, making them essential for English learners following current events. To improve your English, watch financial news, read economic articles, and practice discussing inflation's effects on daily life. Use phrases like prices have risen due to inflation, interest rates affect borrowing costs, and supply chain disruptions caused shortages. Understanding real-world news while learning English makes both skills stronger. See you next time.